So I just want to give some context first of who I am. So my name is Diego Torres. I've been in the Navy for 4 years. I'm currently in E5. My rating is culinary specialist. Currently stationed on board of a guided missile cruiser. Uh, and that's all I'll say about that for now. I joined back in January 2019, and I have about a year left on my contract. So be getting out soon. Okay, so let's get into the deployment. So first I want to talk about the prep work that should go into preparing for deployment. So I myself, or my command, gave us sheets of stuff that we should get done before deployment as a pre-deployment checklist for individual sailors, whether you're married, single, kids, no kids. It gave you a rundown on pretty much everything. The command should be giving you guidance on what to do prior to your deployment, so everything transitions smoothly. You're not worried about stuff back home. You're all taking care of each other. If you have a problem before deployment, you should be bringing it up to your command, so that way they can help you out. So just help each other out. It's something we're all going to be going through together, and it makes no sense to keep something bottled up and now you're going to be suffering on deployment because of it, because you didn't mention it before a hand where they could do something about it, or we can help you do something about it. Things like that were on the list include bills, setting up payments, recurring payments, so that way you don't have to be reliant on the internet on board the ship to make your deposit for your bills, as well as if you do have a place to stay, like where you pay, then making sure that that's taken care of, that you understand you're gonna have to pay that place unless you break the lease, which you can because you will have an excuse, you were on deployment or you are going on deployment. So there's all stuff prior that you should do prior to leaving. Other things, setting up your power of attorney, so who will make decisions for you while you're gone, someone who can do your taxes for you, for example. We left in January, so right around tax season. We ended up being able to pull in and do our taxes online during the port visit, so that helped out a lot. Your will, so hopefully nothing bad happens to you, but in the event that something does happen to you, you have things in place to who's going to get what. There's no guesswork involved. You have it in paper, in writing, notarized, that this is what you want. This was your final wishes for your family or for whoever. As well as your SGLI, which is your military life insurance, making sure that's up to date. And just any general paperwork. Like, honestly, just look through all your paperwork, update everything that you can prior to going on deployment. Big thing is cars. So we had people that risked their cars by leaving them on the base where maybe they shouldn't have left it. Just know there's some places on base where it will get towed after a certain amount of time. If you want to risk it, risk it. If you don't, put it in a place who stores it. Give it to a friend that you trust, or your family members. That way they'll look after it for you. They'll start it up, drive it around every once in a while, make sure it's still running, and then, yeah, just be smart about all stuff prior to deployment. That way you're not worrying about it during the deployment, like, oh shit, I forgot to take care of this. I forgot to set up my bills for this. Just think ahead for everything. Other stuff for prep work, I'd say clothes. So this goes for everything. Don't bring too much stuff, too much clothes, too much personal items. You have very limited space. Maybe you will have an extra locker in your shop or an extra place where you can store it. But maybe you might not. They might end up halfway through the deployment telling you, hey, we can't store stuff there anymore. Y'all got to get all your stuff out, and now you're shit out of luck because you don't have anywhere to put anything. So just be smart. Only bring what you need. You don't need that much civilian clothes. honestly, you're gonna shop wherever you go, and you're not gonna have much opportunity to wear civilian clothes anyways on the boat. If you're a person that works out a lot, bring a lot of workout clothes, because that could double as your attire for going out. And then you find a store downtown in another country, and you just real quick change out what you got. Put on what you had. That works. Just be smart. Make sure you do bring all your uniform items. You never know when you might get promoted during the deployment, or you might get sent to do a board or whatever, a random inspection. So in our case, we switched from blues to whites during our deployment. So we had to do an inspection halfway through. We also had to do our picture in blues for our cruise book. So make sure you have all your uniform items on board. And if you do plan on getting a promotion, like say you're a push button and you're probably going to get promoted during deployment, bring your stuff for your promotion on board. Don't wear it until you get actually promoted, and then there you go. You got all your stuff. You don't got to worry about somebody buying it for you or whatever. Hygiene stuff. So this goes for the uniform stuff as well. They sell hygiene products in the ship store. They have very limited amounts, and they don't have a lot of variety. So if you're very particular about what you use, just bring extra. That's all I can tell you. Just bring extra stuff, whatever you want. You will have a chance to buy stuff in other countries when you go, but honestly, it's kind of a hassle. So I just brought everything that I would need the entire deployment and more. Like, I'm still using stuff now that I bought for deployment. So just buy extra stuff. Honestly, it'll save you time. It'll save you money probably, because some countries, depending on where you go, just because you're American, will up the prices before you pull in for certain items, knowing that you're going to need to buy it. Your comfort items. So this is pretty important, at least to me. So if you have, I don't know, a guitar, if you have an iPad, something that brings you comfort for the deployment, bring it. Even if you think it might be taking up a little bit too much space, if you feel that that item is like key to you feeling okay, I'd say bring it. Laptops, like gaming consoles, like Switches, an Xbox. Don't bring a whole fucking PC to your shop, because they're only gonna hate you. But it's cool too if you bring stuff that you can share with others. Like, we played, not for deployment, but we played Cards Against Humanity before for some of our underways. Uno was a big one. Spades, fucking everyone plays spades. Or I don't play spades. I don't understand how to play it, but if I could, I would. Just, anything that you can think of that would bring you comfort and make life a little easier for you, just bring it. Now we're gonna actually get into the day-to-day of like what it's like on deployment. So your workload is all dependent on what you do as your job, right? Whether you're a culinary specialist like myself, you're a fire controlman, electronics technician, operations specialist, machinist mate, you work on engines, you're a damage controlman. Like, it's all gonna be different for you, right? Some rates work more than others, as a lot of people know already in the Navy. Pick your rate, pick your fate. It's just how it goes. As much as I fucking hate that saying, that's honestly how it goes. Just understand your workload, your day-to-day, like what's it gonna be like. Maybe ask your chain of command, who's maybe been on other deployments, or maybe the second classes or third classes who have been in one other, two other deployments, what it's gonna be like, your day-to-day. So you have an understanding, you're not surprised when you get to it, right? So it's gonna be subjective to, whatever your job is, and especially what platform you're on. Like, obviously a culinary specialist on a destroyer, guided missile cruiser is going to be different than a culinary specialist on a submarine or on carrier, right? So I will tell you, on a cruiser, a culinary specialist on deployment works a lot. I worked in the wardroom for most of the deployment, so I was getting up every day at 5 to get up and serve the meal for breakfast, and then usually my day would end around 2000. So, and I was on the good day, so it was usually between a 13 and 14 hour work day every day, except for Sundays, where I could sleep in, and also Saturday nights, Saturday mornings I could sleep in, because that was a scheduled thing that I worked out. Work is it's a big component of how you're gonna feel. It's why you're there, right? So one thing I would say is it's good to understand where you're at, like as in like the area of operation, like where your boat is physically at, what your purpose is for being there. And that's for two things, right? So say this is like a long shot, but say like you get sent to talk to like the captain, not in a bad way, like say he wants to give you a coin or something, or like an admiral or whatever, that don't even matter. And like you don't even fucking really like understand what you're doing. It's better to just have a general understanding of why you're there and what you're doing. And second, this is the actual important part, is it'll keep you sane. Like in your head, you'll know where you're at. Like I constantly would ask like my operations specialist friends, like, where are we? Like, where are we off? Like, how far are we from land? What's going on? What are we doing? What recently happened? All that kind of stuff. Like, just because, I don't know, just, it let me know that I wasn't just in my own world. Like, there's a purpose for why we're there, what we're doing. Even if you don't agree with it, which a lot of people don't, but some people do. Just knowing, right? Knowing what you're doing is important, because I couldn't tell you like how many people in the Navy currently, and probably that I even went on deployment with, don't really understand what the deployment was for. All right, like they have like a super basic, like they'll use buzzwords like that the captain used to use when he got on like the intercom, the OMC, to talk to us. But like actually understanding what the purpose is will help you. Like will help you keep yourself sane. There needs to be a balance between your workload and your free time. So depending on, again, it's subjective to what your job is. You may get more free time than others. You may get less free time, right? Like, I know engineers are probably banging their head like, yeah, you don't say. Like, it's really, it really sucks, right? Because if you're still working, right, and you see like another rate like get off, their division let them off, like they're not doing anything, they're literally just fucking sitting on the mess decks or sitting somewhere in their space playing games. Like it really sucks, right? But it's not going to do anything to keep bringing it up, right? Like if you just keep constantly bringing it up to people, like the people you're working with, like look at that division, they're fucking off already. Like that's bullshit. It might help you feel good for like a second, like I fucking told them. But after a while, for months and every single day, multiple times a day, doing that, it really fucks you up. Just be appreciative for the stuff that you do have, the stuff maybe you have that they don't. Like the grass is always greener on the other side. I know for culinary specialists, right? It like the work hours suck. It fucking sucks. It really does. Working that early to that late. Even the days that we have to field day, we're up to like 22, 23. Like that shit sucks. But I'm appreciative because I don't gotta wait in line for food. I can make my own food. I don't like the menu for that day. I'll make myself something, all right? Or, use my food and I can give that to somebody else. Maybe I need a part for one of our machines made a little faster. Like it's an advantage, right? So use your job to an advantage for yourself, to just, just generally just feel better, right? Don't beat yourself up. Don't consistently, like, bring up other people's well fortune and like just claim that your life sucks, like everything's terrible. It's a mind game, right? And that's really what it is, right? So you and this brings me to my next thing. You need to be having time to decompress, right? So whether that's a lot of people do it on Saturday nights because Sunday morning is it's a holiday routine for the most part, almost every Sunday. You can sleep in, people have fun, people play games all night and watch movies all night. Whether it's then or if it's at nighttime, like you just need to find a time to decompress, do the things that you like, use the comfort items that you brought on board. Talk to people. Like talking to people helps a lot, right? Even if you don't find it like you're not comfortable doing it, you can do it to we have every ship has a chaplain. Like I went to go talk to the chaplain multiple times. It really helped out. Even if you're not looking for an answer for stuff, if you're just talking to somebody and venting, it helps. It helps a lot. Just find time to decompress, right? And if you're having trouble with it, please like talk to somebody about it. Right? Talk to your friends, talk to your chain of command, talk to the chaplain, talk to the command master chief, talk to someone. I bring it up. Don't just keep it inside, right? We have a big problem in the Navy with suicide, and a lot of people don't like to talk about it. We constantly make an effort to do more trainings about it, but it just seems like within the last, I don't know, 3 years that I've been in, it's just become worse. Like suicide is just such a prevalent thing in the Navy, and it happens way too often, right? So make sure you're talking to people, right? Your connections home. Don't forget that you have connection home. Whether I know some people, right? They don't talk to their family. Maybe that's why they join the Navy, to get away from them. You don't really have loved ones back home, but for those of you that do, you do have a way to connect to them via the internet, using email, the sailor phone that you can use on board, Facebook, all that stuff, right? And if you choose not to, which I myself chose not to call home, I would only email, right? Just because I knew if I called, it'd be more personal, and it would just be too much for my family and for myself. But and maybe for your friends that don't have someone to call back home or don't really want to talk to their families, like it could help too. Like if your family or your friends also contacted them and they had a way to connect with someone outside of the boat, right? Because it really does help. Those are some people too that you should be talking to help. Just generally just ask them, hey man, how's your day going, right? So keep an eye out for each other, and don't belittle each other. Don't be like, oh, why don't you ever email anyone? Like you don't talk to your family or blah blah blah. Like that's just not a good way to approach that conversation, right? Yeah, some people do not talk to their family. Maybe something traumatic happened in their past, or maybe they just don't have a family. Like you need to be conscious of that kind of stuff, and you will be if you aren't in the Navy, and you're kind of like, yo, I never thought about that. Once you join, you will like have a better sense of everyone around you, and you will be exposed to a lot more situations that you never thought you would be exposed to, and a lot more people that you never thought you'd be exposed to. Some people have a hard time. Sorry. Some people have a hard time because they have never been exposed to maybe other races, other ethnicities, people of other sexual orientation or anything, where they were from, and all of a sudden it gets multiplied by 1,000 when you get thrown in the Navy, because you meet everyone from everywhere with every background, walk of life that you can imagine, and some people don't adjust correctly, right? And for some people, they just need to get out, because there's no fixing the way that they grew up and the way that they feel about stuff. But some people, it does take some time, but they will adjust. Port visits. For port visits, the biggest thing I can tell you Listen to the port brief prior to leaving. Actually pay attention to your liberty brief, your port brief, whatever y'all call it, safety brief. Listen to everything that they tell you. Write down numbers. Even if you don't write them down, just take a picture of it, because you'll be happy, like, oh shit, I think I had that number of the Cordec on my phone, or I think I had the number of blah 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 to my phone. Local law enforcement, local medical, all that, right? It's important, right? Pay attention. And for me, so it was always weird for me coming back into a port, even though I didn't really hit that many ports, if you think about it. But it was difficult going into a port after being out to sea for so long, because my brain was like work, 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 work. Like that's all it was. Like all day long, all night long. I would dream of work in my sleep. I hated it, right? So it was a little hard for me to go back. It was a little hard for me to go back into a port and just try to re-enter society normally. And it took me a while, but usually within like a couple of days, or maybe like a day being out, like I got pretty good. But there's some people that really won't leave the boat, and yeah, that's their choice, but it affects different people differently, and it's just something to keep in mind when you pull in, right? So take it slow. If you have to, like, take it slow. Walk around a little bit, maybe explore the culture a little bit before you go straight to a bar, straight to a club, and start getting fucked up. Because I've seen that happen, and I've seen it go very, very badly. Obviously, I was attached to a carrier strike group, and we pulled in with the carrier a couple times, and the carriers would ruin everything, right? They'd go insane. They'd be the ones with all the alcohol-related incidents. They'd be all the ones with all the liberty incidents. Like, just take it slow, right? I will say we had a lot of on our part too, but just the amount of people that were on the carrier, just insane. Make sure you have a plan. Not just like have a plan, be safe. Not like have a plan, like where you want to go, what you want to do, who you're gonna hang out with is the most important part. Maybe that person doesn't want to go do that. That's something that y'all need to figure out before you leave the boat, because the last thing you need is start ditching each other, and then you get lost, and then you're shit out of luck because you just lost your liberty buddy. Right? You can't go back to the ship without your liberty buddy, or you will get it in a lot of trouble. So just pay attention to what the liberty expiration times are. Maybe they're different for each day, so pay attention to that. Pay attention to what your plan's going to be and your liberty buddy, right? It makes a big difference. Just be smart. Finally, for after you've done all this stuff, you've gone through months of your routine every single day. Hopefully you've kept yourself sane, and talk to people if you had to. You're gonna be at that last little stretch, right? The last 2 months, I swear, were the longest of the deployment. I thought the first 2 months were the longest. No, the last 2 months were insane stretch of time. Like it felt like 6 months. So once you start getting ready to go home, obviously your command's gonna let you know we're gonna pull in around this date. The date will be more concrete as you get closer to pulling in, right? So the date when you left might not be the same date when you're already out there. They might change it, they might not. It just depends, right? They will let you know when it's concrete. Remind your family that you will be pulling in if you want your family there when you pull into your from deployment. Get everything set up, right? So if you gotta get them through like the gate at the base, maybe they don't have an ID, a military ID to get in. Some ships now or some bases you have to actually send in all their paperwork so they can get a pass for the day. Just make sure you got all that shit set up. This whole time you've been keeping track of your finances, so make sure your finances are set up, or are still set up correctly. You should be doing that every port you pull into, or consistently checking it online using the computers on board. And so here's one thing that I want to talk about. It's probably it's the most important thing to myself, right? You're gonna feel weird when you get back from the deployment, right? You already felt weird, or at least for myself, I felt weird when I would pull into ports. When I pulled back from the deployment for not seeing my family in so long, not being in the U.S. for that long, it was a challenge, right? It's gonna feel weird. You're gonna feel a little strange for a couple days. You just went through, especially if it's your first deployment, you just went through something insane, right? You were sleeping on board a ship, waking up every single day, doing the same routines, working 14-hour days every single day. Going from 1,000 miles to 0 is gonna be hard. So again, like, treat your leave, if you're taking leave, or if you're gonna be with your family, if you're not taking leave, whatever, but take coming back from deployment just as slow, if not slower, than you did when you would pull into ports. So take those times that you're pulling into port as like practice, right? From practice to pulling into back to home port from deployment. It's okay if you feel odd. Like, not everyone like can automatically just switch it on, get behind the wheel of a car, start driving again, all that stuff. Like holding your babies, maybe you haven't met them before, your first time father. Like, there's a lot of stuff, right, that could go that can go differently while you're on deployment. That happened, and it's just important for you to take it slow, figure out your priorities, and don't be afraid to tell other people, like, I can't do this, like, right now, right? So speak out. Don't just keep it to yourself, right? Don't just run away, walk away from people. If you have to in the moment, do it, but explain your feelings and explain what's going on. Explain maybe what happened if something did happen on deployment. Like, I don't even want to give an example, but just say something went didn't go right. It could be anything. So one of your friends could have got hurt, you could have got hurt, maybe someone almost got hurt, and not just necessarily that, maybe something didn't go as planned for yourself. Maybe it can be with your career or whatever, right? Something traumatic happened, or something happened, right, to affect yourself mentally. Bring it up. Talk to people about it. Talk to your family. Talk to the chaplain. Again, I'm going to keep bringing up chaplain because he's a great resource. Just be smart. Be just take it slow. Right? There are people that feel the exact same way that you feel. Right? Don't ever talk to somebody and tell them, like, oh, that's nothing. When I did my deployment, blah 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 blah. Right? Everyone's experience is different, and maybe there is something that they're not revealing. Maybe they didn't tell a full story about something when they're opening up to you. Just listen to people, right? Listen to each other, help each other out, and talk to people. That is very important. The psychology of what you went through a deployment, whether this goes for any deployment, whether you did a deployment with the Marines, with the Army, with the Navy, with the Air Force, it's different for everyone, and it's traumatic in its own way for everyone. So just keep that in mind, and hopefully if you do stay in and you do multiple deployments, you'll get really good at it, like some of the people that I went on deployment with who didn't even bat an eye. It was just another thing that they had to do. But if it's your first, it could be a little rough, right? So I think I covered everything that I wanted to cover. If you guys have any questions about anything that I might have missed, just go ahead and leave a comment and I'll try my best to answer it. And if I don't know the answer, I might take a little longer because I'm going to try to get the answer to somebody else. All right. Thank you for listening to the video if you stayed this far, and leave some ideas of other stuff that maybe you guys want me to talk about. Yeah. Thank you.